Uh, so we was literally like, so I was in the fourth row, so we was breaking our chairs so we could leave out. Like we thought it was like literally over, and then the music hit, and you couldn't really even hear his music because Chicago went crazy. Like Chicago's probably my favorite place to watch a show, but they went stupid. Like I heard the first like 15 minutes of the song, and then after that, CM Punk, it was wild. I mean, it was a moment.
Yeah. And then obviously the altercations, like we're seeing videos of like Seth Rollins saying, "I'm gonna fuck you up," and Drew McIntyre apparently walked off as well, really looking angry. So there's so much rumors going on. I don't know if you saw any of that as well. We can talk about that.
Drew left. So I looked at Drew leaving the ring as like he was upset they lost the match. Um, Part of like their storyline, like he joined their team and then he left. So I saw when he left out, and then it can play like everybody didn't know because like in the ring at the end of the match they was in the same ring like real close to each other, both the teams, and like standing there and like just watching what was like him coming out. So if they knew about it, they played it real good because they was in the ring like, and both teams looking at each other, but they obviously had the camera at the back and everything. So I got video of what was going on in the ring when his music hit, but it was like weird because I was like, both teams are just standing real close to each other after the match, looking at the entrance. Like I was like, I don't think they knew about this. Like if they did, they played that very very close knit. But yeah, I mean, it's a wild evening, man. I mean, it's wild. I don't even know what to think right now.
Yeah, so when I saw a video of Adria, he was covering his eye with one hand, and I thought maybe like something went in his eye, or like he's injured, because when he was walking away, he was covering his eye, and he didn't look like angry. He kind of looked like confused, like I don't know, like something had. I felt like something had went in his eye, and that's why he was covering his eye, trying to run backstage.
Possibly, but I don't think he was mad about. I just take it as he was mad about the pay per view that they took a loss because he lost last year in War Games, and then he loses this year in War Games. So it's like I took that him just if he's mad about something else, I don't know, but I didn't take it as him being mad about CM Punk or anything.
No, but did you guys see that like someone was reporting that he like went like into his dressing room, slammed the door, threw Hoodie on and like left the arena immediately? And you know how like people who know are always like so shady about it. So I saw someone on Twitter saying like, oh, like he was upset about Punk or whatever. And this one photographer quoted the tweet and they went, I can tell you for sure it wasn't about Punk. So like I think something was up, but it wasn't him being upset about CM Punk. It was something else.
Oh, I have no idea. What do you think? I thought that something. I honestly thought that something had gone in his eye. I swear. I was like, but maybe But then, do you think, from a professional standpoint, they shouldn't kind of like, if you're a professional, whether it's in wrestling or any career, you shouldn't kind of like bring your own personal feelings to work, kind of thing.
I mean, yeah, but we're talking about CM Punk here. Like, let's
Yeah,
be for real for a second. Like, sure, a lot of those things wouldn't have happened if that was the rule of thumb, you know. But it's a
yeah,
weird time that we're witnessing.
absolutely.
But you need a little negativity. Uh, like I like everything positive, but you need a little like
A little
at work a
spice.
little bit. It's gonna drive them to do even more. As long as they keep it under wraps and it don't get out of hand, you need that little you need that tension between the talent. It's gonna push everybody to get better. So I'm actually excited about it. I want to see chaos happen. Controlled chaos. Uh, but yeah, I can't wait.
So should we start with the first match, the women's match, and like how you think, who first of all, who was like your breakout star in that match? And okay, is that supposed
I did that.
okay, praise. Yeah, like who do you think is the breakout star in that? You know, we got to see Shotzi kind of playing with the big girls for once, and that was pretty cool. I'm not gonna say like I'm a huge fan of Shotzi. I mean, I think she's talented, and we got to see that yesterday as well. But like, I haven't seen much of her in terms of like big events. So what do you think about the first match, the women's match? Like, who do you think was the breakout star? And did you think that Damage Control was going to get the W?
I mean, I almost expected Shotzi to do more. She's notorious for killing herself in her matches. I'm not advocating for unsafe work, but Shotzi is just known for doing crazy spots, and I didn't think she was that much of a standout in the match. That being said, I really loved the match. For me, it's been the tendency where whenever I do watch WWE pay-per-views, and if it's a gimmicky pay-per-view, if it's like Royal Rumble or if it's like Elimination Chamber, the women's match tends to speak to me more usually. And for me, the MVP was Io Sky probably with the trash can spot. I did tag Dr. Decton in my tweet about it because that's his thing that he does it like every single show that I've seen him at. But she definitely added some height to it. No, I thought it was a great match, and you know, it's cool to see Charlotte do it for the first time. Like for me, the main theme was it's cool to see War Games be treated as like an A-list type of thing. Like it's cool to see Charlotte in War Games. It's cool to see Randy Orton in War Games, and to me, it like really brought it to the next level. So it was cool to see Charlotte there, but also it was kind of like, sure, like it's Charlotte's first War Games, so she's not going to lose that. You know?
How about you, Trey? You're muted. I can't hear you.
I love the women's war game match. Shotzi, you know, she had some moves, but like you know, I expected her to do more because you know, Shotzi she's ballsy. She's balls out when she's in there. Io Sky going to the top. So Bayley, I believe, as I'm sitting in there, I seen her like save everybody on the team. And then at the end, I don't know if they showed it, but when everybody was doing the finishers on Bayley, Damage Control, the rest of them, like they would stand up, but then they would sit back down. Like, because it was one point where Kyrie could have stopped the pin, but she stood up and then she just sat back down on the ring apron. And I was like, yo, that's crazy right there. But also Asuka spraying Shotzi, that was tight. And then the Becky Charlotte hug. I mean, people like it. I think it was over the top for me. I like when they beefing.
Yeah.
You know what my two favorite spots were? And they both involved Dakota Kai. The poke with the candlestick through the cage, and then the chain elevator thing.
Yeah.
I just thought it was so innovative, and I just don't think people often put enough thought into interfering from the outside in cage matches. But like that's how it's done. Like there's so many ways you can stick a finger in there. Like I just really like the way she was involved in that.
Definitely, I agree. That was very innovative with the trash can being carried into the ring. That was really cool, definitely. And it's at least they got, and also it's really sweet that like she got to participate in some degree in the match, although she's injured and she can't actually wrestle right now, but she was still part of it in some way, you know, and she got to get her hands dirty, so that was really cool to see. Definitely, I did think that there was tension building between Charlotte and Becky, and I did know what was the end like goal, like were they gonna end up arguing or something, when you know, like I remember seeing Becky start shaking and I was thinking, oh my god, what's gonna happen next? And then they end up hugging, and that was kind of like a buzzkill because I was expecting some tension there.
I mean, if it was any other promotion, I would expect long-term storytelling and I would expect it to unfold over time, but here I'm not sure.
Yeah, for sure. No, I would have definitely want to see something build up between them. They've got so much history together, and it would be great to see. But also, some people are kind of sick of seeing them together as well, and I can understand the argument as well. And like give some other women opportunities. So it's good that we get to see people like Shotzi, even Zoe Starks, who's kind of like fairly new on the main roster, being given these opportunities. I love Zoe, by the way. I think she's amazing, and she's super strong. I loved her in NXT. I wanted to see more of her in this match. I don't know it. To me, that was the least enjoyable match for some reason. I can't quite put my finger on. I love Rhea. She's like my favorite, as you can see. But something wasn't right about this match. What do you think?
Silence.
So it happened after which match? I think Santos and Dragon Lee.
Yeah. No. So the second, actually, yeah, we're not going in order. I don't know why. Because I think I thought of women, so I just thought, okay, let's go down that route. But the actual match after that was the Gunther and Miz match.
Gunther and Miz. So, okay, we can talk about that one.
Yeah.
Gunther and Miz. They pulled me in. I thought Miz was gonna get him at one point, with the kick to the nuts and then the turnbuckle spot. You know what I'm saying? Like Gunther, every time he has a match, he makes you believe that he has a chance of losing the match. To me, and then he pulled it out again. So shout out to Gunther and Miz. The crowd was rocking. The crowd actually got behind Miz a whole lot, and I was shocked because a lot of people like to down Miz, but it was a good time.
That match was a big part of the reason I even watched the pay-per-view.
Really?
Yeah, because I had a lot of like complex feelings about that match because Miz is like one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. All time. He was my first favorite wrestler. He was the first wrestler I ever met, and he's just like such a big part of my story as a wrestling fan and creator. And but then Gunther, like I don't really watch WWE as much these days. But I've always kept saying that on the main rosters, Gunther and the Imperium are like the one act that I really keep an eye on and that I really think is amazing and consistently has been great. So it's like to see those two things clash, it was like, wow. Like on the one hand, it's like I'm always rooting for Miz, like by default. But then I kind of was like, well, Gunther apparently hasn't been pinned in 2 years. I didn't realize when I sat down to watch the pay-per-view. And I was like, well, no, in that case, I wouldn't like Miz to win. And if Miz did win, he would tie as a 9-time Intercontinental Champion with Chris Jericho, which would be really good for Miz and which would be really good for the company because Chris Jericho is out. So like you don't want to keep mentioning his name necessarily. And I would love for Miz to tie Chris Jericho, but not with Gunther. Like he was not supposed to take that title of Gunther. So like Trey said, like I also did think for a second that Miz had it, and I had such a good flurry of complex emotions about it. But no, I really loved the match, and like people like to hate on Miz and people like to say that he lacks in-ring ability, which I'm not gonna argue with that. Like he's no Kenny Omega, like he's no Kota Ibushi, like for sure. But he doesn't have bad matches. Like one like actual criticism that I've heard is that he like plays it safe, and you can tell like that he's kind of like too scared to get like injured or to get hurt, which is fair. He's a family man, he's a showman. He doesn't want to ruin the money maker, but it was a good match, and the crowd seemed to be into it. It's just as Trey said, and as it seemed on the screen. So like it was probably my favorite match.
Really? Wow. I would say also, Miz is kind of like one of those wrestlers that unless he's wrestling right in front of you, don't think, oh my God, like I know he's one of your favorites, but like as maybe even like a casual wrestling fan, don't think, oh my God, he's somebody that I'm looking forward to seeing in the ring. But when he's in the ring, you actually always enjoy it. And then you forget when he's not in the ring, you forget how good he is. But then when you see him again, you're like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. No wonder he's stayed in this company for so long and they haven't got rid of him. Because if he wasn't that good, he wouldn't be there, you know. And he can work anywhere else. He's kind of like a celebrity. He can do other things. He obviously loves wrestling as well, and it's good to see him like still active, still wrestling, and still surprising us. You know, I'm always shocked when I see him wrestle because I always forget how good he is. I always forget. Now, you know, I've watched him yesterday and I was like, wow. And actually, that being said, I think that was my favorite match as well, just because I kind of had low expectations for Miz. I don't know why, but I did. And then when he like, you know, got in the ring, and there were moments when I thought, oh my God, has Gunther lost his belt? Is this gonna really happen today? So yeah, definitely that was my favorite match as well.
Hey, let me say, people got to put respect on Miz's name, man.
Yes,
that's all
absolutely.
I'm gonna say. That's
and the way he's currently presented, it's like it kind of makes sense for him to like not win all the time, because like he's like you said, he's very much outside of the wrestling thing these days. Like he's very much the celebrity type, the goes on the talk show to promote the show type, like that kind of thing. But I also don't feel like he gets the respect he deserves for kind of being a workhorse too. Like he is the one to have a match with someone who needs guidance to have a match. Like he was the one to introduce Logan Paul into the in-ring aspect of things. He was the one to have the first match with Bad Bunny. Like he's the safe, personable worker who will have a decent match and who will carry someone when needed. Like when you think of that type of work, you don't think Miz. But if you look at facts, if you look at history, he's just someone extremely reliable who's always there to, you know, to help out other workers.
Triple H said the same thing in the press conference. He said Miz is the all-around guy that we got. If we whatever role that we need him to play, he's able to do it. If we need him to go out to the media, he can do that. He can be the face of the company. Like in that press conference, Triple H put Miz over tremendously. So, like, man, the same thing you just said.
Awesome. So the next match, which is Santos and Dragon Lee.
They was cooking.
So for me, before WWE, I'm not really familiar with Dragon Lee. I know he's been wrestling for a while now, but I haven't really seen much of his wrestling prior. Have any of you?
Yeah.
I have, but I also wasn't following super closely or anything.
He goes crazy. Like we only getting 1/16 of what he can actually do right now.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, like, it's bound to happen whenever someone like that, especially a luchador, gets signed by WWE. Like, you just have to expect them to, for the lack of a better word, to dumb down their style to appeal to a more general audience and to be safer and to be more, I guess, in the WWE style of things. But I thought it was a great match too, and for me, it was more about Santos than it was about Dragon Lee. And I did say on Twitter that WWE, I think, for a bit has been lacking a real evil, vile, despicable heel. And I think the Higado of Santos Escobar is exactly that. It's what the company needs, and he's absolutely amazing. Like when he said he hopes that Rey Mysterio gets a leg amputated, like, are you kidding me? Like that's exactly what I turned my TV on for. No notes. A+.
Yeah, and he was like, he's never coming back. Everyone's like, he's never coming back? Really?
I can believe that. He was like, oh, really?
Yeah. So I like Santos in NXT. I used to watch him in NXT with Legado, and I really was so excited to see him come to the main roster. And it's good to see him kind of like venture out on his own right now, away from Rey Mysterio. So you get to see him, you know, do his own thing and kind of like the spotlight on him and not so much on Rey Mysterio. And like he's getting confident, like he can speak in the ring, you know, to the crowds, and he's getting the heat that is required, I think, to build like the ultimate heel. I don't know what the long term booking is with him. I hope. I don't want to build. For me, I don't want to see this massive feud with Rey Mysterio. I think they should kind of not do that. I don't know how long Rey's kind of rumored to be out for? Do you have any idea? Do you think they're going to build a massive feud between them, and maybe we're going to see it in like WrestleMania or something like that?
I would actually like to see that. I think Rey Mysterio is great for him in terms of getting him acclimated almost to the main roster, because we, or me personally, or some fans that I know of, we've been so used for years to having unsuccessful NXT call-ups that
Yeah.
immediately get buried, that immediately get lost on the main roster. And with Santos too, it was also a question of like, yes, he was great in NXT and he fit right in NXT, but is he gonna be able to handle the caliber of the main roster? And for him to feud with someone as big as Rey Mysterio was just absolutely fantastic, and is absolutely fantastic for him. And I do think that in spite of being more the NXT type, like more the technical type, more NXT type promo, smaller guy, like with all that, I think he's carrying the load amazingly. I think he's been great so far.
I rock with him. His theme music, man. Every time I hear it when he come out, doom, 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 it does something to me. I was saying for a long time though, WWE was looking for that like next Latin star, like Santos is that one for him. They got Dragon Lee up there.
And it wasn't going to be Dominic.
He just came to the company and everything, so I say give him maybe about 6 more months to a year, and he gonna be there. But Santos Escobar, he's that one. I wouldn't mind seeing him taking that U.S. title off of who has the U.S. title right now. Matter of fact, I don't know.
Wait, hold on. The U.S. title. So wait, Gunther has a title. Roman, Seth. Who else? Okay, this is.
Damn, who does have the U.S. title?
Who has the U.S. title?
I probably watched WWE least out of all of you guys, so I could not tell.
It's bad because I mean, damn.
It says Austin Theory.
Oh.
No,
that's what Google's saying.
No, not right now.
Weird. Oh, Logan Paul.
Oh, right. How could we forget the picture, you guys?
Because he's acting like Roman right now. He's taking time off with that championship.
No, it's weird that I forgot to, because I think it's great. I think it's great for the company. He had the title at the UFC pay-per-view, right?
Yeah.
I was going to say he takes the title, but I think it'd probably go to LA Knight first. I would love to see Santos dethrone LA Knight after some time, but just how they can work that. But yeah, man, I wouldn't mind seeing another Dragon Lee in Santos Escobar match.
Mm-hmm. I'm saying that with no hate and no shade, but I think Santos is becoming what Andrade could be in WWE.
I was thinking that, like, why get rid of Andrade to build another one, basically?
Yeah, and Santos has the skills, and has the in-ring, has the mic work to be in that position, and evidently is easier to work with. So, good for them.
Yeah, definitely. I know you just said that you think LA Knight will get it next, but I think that LA Knight might win Royal Rumble. I don't know. What do you think?
Who wins the Royal Rumble?
Yeah, man.
I don't know after last night. I'm not saying that Punk's gonna win, but I don't know what way. I don't know what way we about to go down right now. You know what I'm saying? Even though plans may already be locked for WrestleMania, I don't see Cody getting another. I hope he doesn't get another Rumble win.
I wouldn't mind that.
I mean, he came in with like 28 or 30. He came in and then won. So it's like that's done with me. I like to maybe Gunther can get a Royal Rumble win. You know, drop the IC title at some point to Chad Gable. I don't know.
I really miss the times where I'm gonna be in my good old days. theme right now. But I really miss the times when the winner of the Royal Rumble was hard to predict, and when it was something unexpected, when it was someone on the come up, and when it really was a turning point in someone's career, when it really was the start of a big push, the social lift that the pay-per-view was designed to be. Like I really have been hating that the winners have been so logical and made so much sense these past couple years. Like, uh, I'm always the advocate for how in wrestling, not always the outcomes have to be unpredictable. Not always and not everything has to be shocking. Like sometimes it's good for things to make sense, and I'm a firm believer in that. But in my heart, like the fan, the 15-year-old me watching WWE says, Royal Rumble is supposed to blow your mind. Royal Rumble is supposed to be the social lift for a wrestler that it used to be. And now it's like, oh, who's gonna win? Yes, probably the guy who's on the come up, probably the guy that the people love, probably LA Knight, who's getting a chance all over the world at every promotion, at every show possible, or probably Cody Rhodes, who's building his path to a main title for as long as possible. God forbid people turn on him. Like, surely something like that is gonna happen.
And this year, I think they can actually build to the Rumble and make it great. Because there's so many people, if they build it right, who you can say can win the Rumble. Because I always tell people, I think everybody's still sleeping on Bobby Lashley, who's just right now he's just cruising. But we still never got a Bobby versus Roman 101.
He got a nice cool video package last time.
So I don't know, man. It's so many ways we could go here, but I don't know. I don't think Bobby's gonna win, but it will be shocking.
How about Montez Ford? Because there's been so much rumors, and a lot of people want to kind of see him on his own. But then I think, what does that do for Angelo? Because does he stay in the company? Can he stand without Montez?
So, yes, I believe he can stay in the company, only because when all that talk started, those next few weeks, Angelo started cooking, and he's been there for a minute already. I think he's one of those utility wrestlers who you can put him in there, and, he could do work with a lot of people. Montez winning the Rumble. I'm one of the people who don't want to see the Street Profits break up, or if he does do a solo run, like keep them there together and everything. And Dawkins also doing a single thing. But Montez winning this year, that would be a shocker, though. See, that could start some other talk right there. I don't even want to think about it. I don't know. I don't think so.
I'm
Do you
one of
want
the
to
people
see
who don't want them
Sarah?
to break up either.
You don't?
No, I don't know. I just view them as such a cohesive unit, and I'm a sucker for like a good cohesive tag team. It's funny because the other day on Twitter there was this discourse about for some reason Pacific Rim, the movie franchise, and I'm a huge fan, and it just kind of came to comparison that like good tag teams are drift compatible, and it's like I always like I like to look at tag teams this way, and it's like it would just suck to lose a tag team that in my mind is just so cohesive and works so well.
So how do you feel about the Usos? Because not only are they a tag team, but they're also twins, and so you would never see that happening.
It's funny because I just think they're like, I think it's good for them because when you're twins, when you're brothers at all, but if you're twins specifically, you're just so stuck with each other. Like especially if you start wrestling together, like it's impossible. And like like Bella twins, like Renegade twins, like it's just kind of something that should happen. I actually know a wrestler. He's a Spanish wrestler. His name is King Caden, and he has a twin brother too. And they're like completely separate now. Like they started out as a twin tag team, but now they have completely different gimmicks. They look completely different. One of them wears a mask and face paint. Like God forbid they have the same face. Like I just feel like for a twin it's so hard to break away. So I think it's good for the Usos to get that time to shine separately a little bit.
Yeah, and it's something that we did not see happening as well. So it's definitely exciting to see that for sure. So the next match, which I brought up earlier, which is Rhea Ripley and Zoe Stark.
I love Lacey Ryan. I still call her by her independent name. Zoe Stark. She been cooking. So when the match started, after the Santos and Dragon Lee match, me and my the homie, he was sitting there, and we was like, this match is probably only going like 7 or 8 minutes. It's gonna be a quick match, because the time that they said War Games was gonna end, I was like, as long as the War Games match is like, they not getting ready to let them cook like that. I like the match though. I like I like Zoe Stark. I like what she doing. Rhea was looking magnificent, but she was also giving her brutality, as she say. I wouldn't mind if they got a little bit longer, but also I saw some of the spots, little sloppy at times. But overall, I did enjoy their match. Zoe's gonna be somebody to look out for in the next few months. So yeah.
I was expecting, or I was hoping, because based on Crown Jewel, like Rhea had the most amazing entrance in Crown Jewel. It was so good, and I wanted them to kind of like top that. And I was expecting them to do something, but they didn't, which was quite unfortunate. What do you think? Did you watch Crown Jewel? Did you see her entrance? It was so good. Everyone was saying it's the best entrance like for a woman in wrestling.
I did not watch.
It was so good. They had all these like Arab guys with swords. It was like it was an over the top, like a WrestleMania entrance. It was really good.
She gonna get
I mean,
another
they do try to treat Crown Jewel kind of like WrestleMania, so not surprising. I don't watch the Saudi shows. Like sometimes I do, but like I make a point to pirate them. Like I just don't really agree with it. And like I did have discussions with some like female wrestlers on my channel about whether it's a good thing, it's a bad thing. I still hold an opinion that it's not really a good thing, but it's whatever. The match itself was unfortunately definitely a filler match. Like it was not bad by any account, but it was put in a filler spot on the card, and it was put booked as a champion against someone who's, like you mentioned, fairly new on the main roster. I do like seeing the come up of Zoe Stark. I do like seeing more like rough around the edges presenting female superstars. Like I like when they steer away from the diva type still. So I think, I'm excited to see what she does next, and I think she's going to do great on the main roster. But yeah, that match was unfortunately filler spot.
No, I agree with you in terms of like the rough around the edges comment that you just made, because I feel like, sometimes, although I'm for it, some like women are so sexualized, and then that's all, despite all their talents in the ring, maybe that's all you might now recognize them for, like just being this sexy girl. And so it's good to see that they don't just focus on that type of like diva era, and like we're actually going to see women who can actually wrestle, who don't need to wear bikinis in the ring, not technically bikinis, but really tiny outfits,
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with that. But also, like, there's a big difference between showcasing your sexuality because you choose to do so and being forced into it, because we know that WWE has bad history with forcing women into that. Like, we know Athena spoke out about it when she was released, that like they were almost coached, instructed to act in a way that's sexual and to dress in a way that's sexual. And I really, it's sad to hear that in the 21st century we're still doing that. So with Triple H hopefully in charge, I think it is going to change for the better, because ultimately the more recent NXT has been good with the booking of women's wrestling and with the women's division. And I do think Triple H sees the value in women's wrestling. And a lot of the people who were on NXT at the time, like Shotzi again, and like Zoe, are on the main roster already, like Io Sky, like Dakota Kai. So I do hope that we're moving towards more deep perception of women on the main roster as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love Alba as well. I love Alba Fire, previously known as Kaylee. And we're seeing a lot of the girls kind of like dip their toes on the main roster, which I think is quite cool. They'll bring them up, have a match, you know, just kind of like get familiar with the big girls or the big boys. So that's really cool to see. So I love Rhea. I think she's so amazing, and like what she's transformed herself to be what she is now is so cool. And even like with her outfits, I see a lot of China. I know she spoke about it, but I see a lot of China in the way that she kind of I don't know who designs her gear, but like a lot of inspiration behind China. And I know that she said that that's her favorite wrestler. But it's really cool to see, you know, kind of like China being, what's the word? I don't know what the right word is, but kind of like she's still here, you know, even though the company might have tried to bury her to some degree, but like, you know, she's still being presented somehow, which is amazing because I love China. I think I'm dragging on that, but Rhea Ripley is, I don't know, maybe they don't have chemistry together. Something wasn't right in that match. I don't know what it was, but something wasn't right. And I can't figure it out. Maybe it's just they don't have chemistry together because they're both equally really good, but maybe just together.
And that happens. And it doesn't mean that either of the wrestlers is not great. It really does happen. Like sometimes it just, the two aren't a good fit, and that's fine. And we can just move past that.
No, absolutely. I agree because I love both of them. And I was looking forward to this match the most, in fact. And then it kind of like, you know, it was sad to see it's not I wasn't so excited watching it. So that was kind of like the downside to it all. But
I think you brought up like a really interesting point with the NXT talent getting a little more accustomed with the main rosters, because I feel like for the longest time it's been a huge problem that this gap between the main roster and NXT has been huge, has been ginormous. Like I know like other brands have developmentals too, like even with, you know, AEW and RH you could kind of equate it, but still like the gap is not as huge. Like it's not perceived as something like so drastic. And like I said, for the longest time, it's been the biggest problem I've had with WWE, the unsuccessful call-ups. And especially with the NXT 2.0, I feel like they've been signing so many athletes, so many very, very young people that like my concern is that they're not going to grow new A-list talent in time for when the current A-list talent retires, inevitably, you know. This gap just seems so huge. And I think it's a really good initiative to kind of bridge it, because for the longest time, we've perceived NXT as something like by design, just like inferior to main brands, you know. And I just don't think it should be this way, because like sometimes we'd have a person who's winning on NXT, who's a champion, who's very dominant, like say when Aleister Black got called up. Like he was extremely dominant in NXT, and then he gets put in a super random tag team the day he's called up and loses again. Or Karrion Kross. Like so many people like to hate on Karrion Kross, not exactly sure why. I think he's great. I have zero, you know, bone to pick with Karrion Kross. But his call up was absolutely ridiculous. Like that's just not how you treat a monster heel that you had in NXT. So I think it's a great thing that they're trying to kind of smooth out that ridge between NXT and the main roster, because it's time, because like they gotta hurry up a little bit. And even with the way that they've been signing new people, even though they're athletes, even though they're trained in-house, like it's been yielding some results. Like Tiffany Stratton is amazing. Like she's been having good matches. She's been having good matches. And it's like, another thing is that she probably wouldn't be able to have as good a match outside of WWE, but she also doesn't need to. Like she's at this point cut out for this company perfectly. Like she could just go on and be at the company for 20 more years. And she's pretty much on the level with the main roster superstars in the women's division. So I think they should do more of that. I think they should build those people with main roster in mind, as opposed to just marinate them in NXT for years and years on end, what they do with some people.
Yeah.
I think what really happened that year, they had that Survivor Series and NXT won.
Mm-hmm.
The people in charge was like, nah, None of that. And then they separated everything, and it was like NXT's right there, but we didn't even see the people from Raw or SmackDown mixing down there. Now with Triple H in the helm, he's mixing everybody up. Like you could see somebody from Raw or SmackDown on NXT having a match, and then you can see somebody from NXT on Raw or SmackDown having a match, and you like, okay, it now flows together, it's working perfectly. Like, and they knew people like mixing Alpha Academy with the Creeds when they came up on Monday Night Raw. Like Alpha Academy ain't gonna do nothing but help the Creeds, and the Creeds are new there, so and the Creeds got something big. Like Tiffany Stratton, what I didn't know, she's cooking, and I was like, she got a Neil deal, but she also was wrestling before she got to the E. Like her backstory is something crazy because she was up in Minnesota doing her thing, and then the dude got her a workout. And it's like some of these people, even though they get Neil deals, and I know a lot of people like, oh, they just getting a college athlete who's not even a wrestling fan coming in. Some of these people have trained to actually be wrestlers, but you go into college and do your thing, and then they come back to it. So it's a lot of cooking going on right now. I really like what they're doing with NXT right now. Like Shawn Michaels, I don't know what you're doing down there, but kudos to you and Triple H mixing everything together because I really like what's happening right now.
How do you feel about Grayson Waller? Because he was phenomenal in NXT. He can take some bumps. Some of the most brutal bumps I've seen. Grayson Waller is just unbelievable as a wrestler. I don't think that we're getting to see that on the main roster. They kind of the whole podcast. I don't know if it's a podcast, his show. That's his image right now, and I know they're trying to kind of like get the crowd familiar with him, but he's so good as a wrestler, and like we need to see the NXT Grayson Waller.
I feel like Grayson got hurt, he came back, and they put him in a position that he doesn't deserve right now. Like he's trying to help what's the guy name? Austin Theory, because a lot of people said Austin Theory is a lost cause.
But also lots of people say he's a new John Cena, so the truth is somewhere in between.
And but now that he's with Grayson Waller and everything, a lot of the people who wasn't feeling him and everything, they're starting to come around and everything. But Grayson Waller, yeah, he's that diamond in the rough because when he actually start and get out on his own to do his stuff, I think we got a huge star in the making. Huge.
He was so good on NXT.
Definitely have to open their eyes when it comes to Grayson Waller because he does have some like questionable backstory on the personal level. So I'm not getting at that right now. I don't know because I'm not, I didn't dig on that, so not sure about that. But as a performer, he has a full package. Like he has everything, and I absolutely respect a heel who can make non-wrestling people angry. Like the whole Taylor Swift thing, oh my god, like that was brilliant. And then when they did the entrance with Austin Theory and they did the handshake that Taylor Swift and Patrick Mahomes' wife did at the game, oh my god, like that is brilliant. And that's what gets eyes on the product actually.
Yeah.
Like making people mad is cool because they might get curious enough to check out the show because hate drives a lot of people. Like hate is a good driving force, and it's just like it's something that they need because even with WWE's numbers, wrestling is still very much in its own bubble. And I am always advocating for wrestling being more in touch with mainstream media because ultimately that's something that benefits all sides. And I just think Grayson has shown some incredible work when it comes to mainstream media, and I just think they should take advantage of that. I think they should use it more.
Definitely, seriously, I agree with you. That's why I thought, he's somebody that's kind of like right now on the main roster who came from NXT. He that deserves more, and I think he's probably the first person I would mention.
I'll be right back.
All right, so I guess I will wait for Trey to come back. But the next match is the men's. How do you feel about multiple people in the ring, or do you just solo, like two people? Because for me, I prefer when it's just two people in the ring. How about you? Like a Royal Rumble or like a War Games or.
I'm gonna give like a long, weird, convoluted answer.
Yeah.
Because it really depends. Because it really depends on the person. Because if we're talking like technical wrestling, definitely one-on-one. And especially I love pure rules matches. I absolutely love them. And I think Josh Woods has been having some amazing pure rules matches on our club, and especially his match with Shibata, and then with Silas Young, because there's so much stuff going on in our age that like doesn't get enough spotlight, because it's really cool that he had a freaking pure match with Silas Young, because they actually in old our age they used to tag together, and there's so much story there, and it's just so cool that they had this match, but then it had like zero actual hype around it because people don't know that, or people just don't watch our age or whatever. But I think it's just so cool, and I love pure rules matches in that sense, 1-1 matches. But then I'm also a huge tag team wrestling enjoyer. Like my absolute favorite wrestlers are Trent and Chuck, the best friends. Like obviously I'm going to enjoy some tag wrestling. I absolutely love their matches with Kip and Miro, their feud with Proud and Powerful, their parking lot matches, part 1, part 2. Like I love tag team wrestling. Like in that regard, I would take a good tag match over a good singles match. But then also for some reason, things that scratch my brain really well and things that produce serotonin for me are like as gimmicky of a match as possible. Like my absolute favorite thing in the whole world is Stadium Stampede. Like I just think it's so cool. Like the more they run around, the more stuff they crash and break, the more people are involved, the better. And for some reason, like even when I started watching wrestling and I was only watching WWE, I absolutely loved Rumbles. Like it's just my thing. Maybe because a lot of the wrestlers that I like are lower in the card and don't get as much spotlight. And when it's a Rumble, it's like, oh, this person's there, this person's there. Like I haven't seen them on TV in 2 weeks. Like cool. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's the association that happened in my brain. But no, in that regard, War Games is absolutely my thing. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do this.
Do you find it difficult to focus? Like there's something going on here, but then should I be looking here? Should I be looking here? Where should I be?
That's part of the fun, and that's part of actually producing a good match. Yeah. Because to me, like when I judge a gimmicky match like that, like as much as I'm having fun and being goofy about it, I still judge it as like a structured wrestling match, right? So when they had this, was it called Stadium Stampede? I think it was Stadium Stampede at Wembley.
Yeah. With John Moxley
and everything, like. To me, like one of the things that I mentioned in my review of the show was that in spite of how chaotic that match was and how it was all over the place, it was not confusing. It was not hard to watch, especially like even in the arena, because a lot of the time these matches are great to watch from your couch, from home, because the camera work decides where to look for you, but sometimes they're really hard to watch at the venue. And that was the issue with, for example, second Stadium Stampede. It wasn't as fun like in the venue. But the Wembley one, I thought it was wonderfully executed. And the same thing with War Games. Like it depends on how they work, how they work the cameras, how they work the broadcast. Because I had some problems with the women's War Games match. Like, for example, when I think it was Becky and Shotzi when they did the double top rope moves. They like didn't show Shotzi at all. Like they just kind of missed sometimes the camera work ruins it for you. And WWE have been getting complaints about their camera work for as long as they've been a company. So in that regard, it is a little hard to focus.
Yeah, definitely. So the last match on the card, which is the men's War Games match, and we have Cody, Seth, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn. We didn't see Randy until the clock went 0. Everyone was waiting. And I know, because I thought, is this when CM Punk's gonna come out? So I know that I wasn't the only one. And then Randy's music hits and we see Randy come out. But I like how they played the kind of psychological game where it could be CM Punk. Who knows?
So at no point did I think he was gonna come out. CM Punk was gonna come out for the match. So I'm also in the arena, so I got a different view of it. Everybody, so they was telling me online, they was like trying to play up that Randy may not be there. Before the show, right across from me is Randy Orton's wife, sitting like front row with a drink in her hand.
You're like,
So
okay, he's there.
we like, Randy's in the building, right? So people was leaving. They was like, man, did they play y'all? Did y'all know that Randy was coming? I was like, his wife was right there. You know what I'm saying? Kim Orton was right across. We knew Randy was coming. So I did think they was going to try to do that cash in, though. I really did think the cash in was going to happen. So them taking the cash in, then Randy coming out, the crowd went crazy. That it him and the CM Punk. I mean, CM Punk probably got him by a notch, but they went crazy when that. I hear voices, and I lost it for a second too. I was like, "Damn, am I really a Randy fan like that?" Like, it was just a moment, like just being in the building, the atmosphere when you at wrestling shows, like whatever you like, and something happens, that moment just hits you and it takes over you. It's nothing like it.
Yeah, definitely. I do agree with you. Who was the breakout star in the match for you, though?
I think the match was more so about the expectation of Randy Orton and the
Yeah,
cash in and CM Punk.
exactly.
Like, it was less so about the match. Like, I don't really have like standout moments, and like there were like cool moments after Randy showed up when they all did like the
The
doing
Viper.
the DDT and everything. Like that was really cool. But like other than that, like my brain first went, "Oh, cool, Cody. I haven't seen him wrestle in a while." Then my brain went, "Who's gonna show up? Who's gonna show up? Who's gonna show up?" For the whole match.
Yeah.
It's like blacked out. No, it was a decent match, but like it wasn't about the match.
Did you think, obviously, knowing that Randy was coming back, they were definitely going to win, most certainly. Like Judgment Day are not winning at all.
Yeah. Another thing that because again, as someone who doesn't follow WWE super closely, they show like a backstage segment with Judgment Day, and I was like, who's that guy? Since when is that guy in Judgment Day? I was like, what is going on? Like, I feel like that kind of weakened it, like the stance of the Judgment Day in the match for me too, because like you have a somewhat recent NXT call up who's again been marinated in NXT for like 3 years or what.
Yeah,
And it's like,
JD.
yeah, it's like cool. No, they're not gonna win.
Yeah, apparently he's been wrestling for like 20 years in Ireland. I don't watch anything in Ireland, so I wouldn't know. But yeah.
So JD basically got into Judgment Day how Sami Zayn got into Bloodline. He was just around them trying to push his way in, but him and Finn got that connection. Like they played that up. He's been there with me since day one. I wouldn't mind him and Finn being a tag team if you know Damian Priest pulls and get that world championship. But that's another time. But
I said that. I said they should get Sheamus, him, and Finn, all Irish guys, and make something like an Irish, like, I don't know, like a tribute. And then get Becky Lynch in there as well. All the Irish. That'd be sick.
I mean, they could do something like that.
Someone said on Twitter, JD stands for just don't Google me.
Yeah, old bobblehead.
Yeah.
Took that RKO. I thought the ring was gonna like have an issue because you know his head coming straight down like that. I'm just saying his head is huge. Like,
I mean, I'm not gonna shame someone for the way they look, but I'm absolutely gonna shame someone for their actions. So.
I mean, I've told him to his face. I've tweeted it to him. So, you know, he knows his actions too. That's the real reason I told him to his face, because if y'all know, y'all know. Also, let me just say, I think I kind of like Dom only because the people really hate him. Like, I was like, if anybody takes the RKO, it has to be Dom first. He took that RKO first, but he also was the first person to touch Randy coming into the ring. And I'm like, yo, no matter how people feel, the E really got like some trust in Dominique and everything, because what he doing right now, I don't know, man. I thought at one point the boos were piped in, but man, when they did the backstage segment, they showed it on the screen. As soon as he came up, boo! I was like, yeah, we ain't even seeing him right now. But I mean, we just seen him, but Chicago's hate him. And then when he was the last one in the cage, did it come through on camera when they were saying "fuck you, Dom"?
No.
So okay, in the arena, Dom is the last person in the cage, and they're cheering in the ring, and then Chicago just switches to Dom, and they, "F you, Dom, F you, Dom," like the whole arena, and I'm like, holy shit! Like, and they showed him on the camera. He's just like I ain't even doing that yet,
no
guys.
reason.
But it was
I had like
hilarious.
I had like a funny thing happen on Twitter that had to do with Dominic Mysterio. Like, so ever since I started doing like the broadcast and the show coverage and the analytics, all that kind of stuff, and ever since I like gained some number of followers, right, I pretty much stopped saying like anything negative about any wrestlers at all, like except for like actual like abusers and like horrible people, you know. But I've tried to, like, even if I criticize someone, to be like very neutral and very like mild about it, because like you never know who you're gonna like meet and who you're gonna have to look in the eye soon, you know, and you don't want to like antagonize anyone. So I rarely ever say that like, oh, this wrestler sucks, like they're bad, you know. But I think it was during WrestleMania. I don't think it was last year. I think it was the year before that or something like that. I tweeted like man, like I hate to say that, but Dominic just has nothing. Like no looks, no charisma, no mic work, no in ring, like no nothing. Like I just don't like I don't see it, you know, like does not work.
Yeah.
So, and then a wrestler, not gonna name drop anyone, but a wrestler who's currently signed with WWE, uh, drops into my DMs and starts like lecturing me about how I shouldn't say those things about Dominic Mysterio, and go like, why would you say that? What if he sees it? Like you stand up against bullying, but you say that. I'm like, I said that it was, first of all, my opinion, but then I didn't say he was a bad person or that he like shouldn't be signed or anything. I just said that like I don't see anything in him at all. And that person proceeded to lecture me for like a good 20 minutes with like long messages like that, like asking me to delete the tweet, like not even saying like maybe you should delete it, but saying like go and delete the tweet right now. And
Wow.
I just go like, well, like I heard you, my dude, but I'm just not gonna do that, you know. And yeah, I haven't met that person since or spoken to them, but it was a weird interaction.
Wow. How do you feel about Dom now? I mean, since he debuted in the WWE and he was with his dad, and he had a completely different image then to like now transition to now also not only being like one of the most recognized names in pro wrestling, people know who he is now. Like everyone knows who he is. What is it, like 3-4 years he's been around now?
Mm-hmm.
He's built his brand in such a short space of time. Considering some people have not even got that much coverage in like 10 years.
I think he's gotten better for sure. And I also think he like shines better in the heel persona for sure.
Yeah, you can see it's made him go up.
I also think that Rhea is 150% carrying him throughout all of it. Like if it wasn't for her, again, there would be zero interesting things about him. Like I stand by what I said then. Like I don't know what, like I have zero like problem with him, you know, but it's just like I just don't see that feel. Like I just don't enjoy watching him, you know.
How do you feel about the Judgment Day as a whole?
No, I think Judgment Day is great, and you know, really good dynamic, really good look, really good visual, like a combination of some really good wrestlers. Like I have no problem with Judgment Day. And like I said, in combination with Rhea, Dominic has his place there, and it works. And like Trey said, like it does invoke emotion in the fans, which is ultimately the most important thing. Like as long as he can get the whole arena to flip him off, I think he's doing a good job.
Can you imagine Dominic turning on Rhea Ripley? The booze that he would get. So
The
listen,
world would
I
explode.
just been thinking in my head, right? Because Rhea gets a great reaction in the crowd. So at some point, she can continue to play heel, but it might force a babyface turn. And I think the way that you do it, you have Dominique turn on her and maybe I think I would like Raquel better as a heel.
For sure. Yeah.
And her with Dominique, I think will get her over because they gonna hate Dominique so much um for turning on Rhea and everything. But man, could you imagine the hatred and the heat in that building if that was to happen? Like, I just want total chaos to happen. Like, at this point, I need just chaos and everything because, oh.
I think
But
that'd be so good for Raquel as well in terms of her career. I think you should reach out to WWE and say, look, hire me as a writer.
They have applications on their website.
I have background, so no, I ain't doing none of that. So let's move on.
We've been shit posting too much to get hired by WWE.
I really don't shit post though. You know what I'm saying? I make comments and they're open ended and they never put names in there. So if you take what you take from them, but like if I meet the people and they was like, yo, I saw when you did this, since I know a lot of wrestlers, I stand 10 toes down on that and I let them know to their face, like, hey, that's what I said, this is what I think. But I also do talk to a lot of people like on a daily basis. So they already get my opinions and everything when I do have something to say to them where I don't have to put it on social media.
So overall, what was your best match? Sorry, go on.
Yeah, sorry, I was just gonna say, it's so funny to me that like people look at my Twitter and people think I'm like such a like AEW bot. Like that's what people think I am, and that like I hate on WWE so much, but I really don't. And then like if you scroll my Twitter back, like before I ever started making content, when I was just watching WWE, when I wasn't watching anything else in like 2013, 15, like that time period, I would live tweet Raw. And I would just shit on the whole thing throughout. Like there was like nothing but hatred there. Like not really hatred, but like I guess it was just like my humor in a way. Like I would just like poke like fun at throughout the 2 or 3 hours of the show. Like I cannot imagine if I did that now. Like people would tear me into shreds. But yeah, it's just like I don't hate WWE. I don't hate Dominic Mysterio personally. I just like other things, and that's fine.
So overall, what was your best match and least favorite?
You want to go first, Trey?
Least favorite? Nah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Zena. You got it.
Well, I think my favorite was, like I said, Miz and Gunther, just because of my emotional attachment to it. I said everything. It's just because like I really like both wrestlers, and the Miz is a big part of my whole personality was being a Miz fan when I was like 15. So I can't deny that. I wouldn't say least favorite. Let's say best and least best. My least best match was. I think it has to be Rhea's match, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like I just hate that because like a lot of people are like, ooh, like the women's matches are not as interesting. Or like, oh, you're supposed to be supporting women's wrestling, but you say this. No, it's because that's how they're booked. It's because it's put in the P break spot. It's because there's the least build there. It's because there's the most power imbalance there, as in like predictability. And it was short. Like what am I supposed to do if that's what I'm served? And like you said, Rhea is amazing. And I said that yesterday. She's one of the biggest stars in wrestling nowadays, male or female. And unfortunately, that match was just not the best.
Favorite match. I got favorite spots. So the trash can and then the super RKO, as I was calling it. Match that I would have wanted more from is Rhea and and Zoe.
Unfortunately.
But I mean, and I like them both. You know what I'm saying? I'm big fans, but just it was the placement on the card, truthfully, and
Yeah.
how they presented it. But the ladies did go out there and do their thing. But of all the other matches, that one it left me wanting more. I won't say least favorite. It left me wanting more.
Like what I really want to like emphasize is that like this is in no way a problem of the quality of wrestling. Like this is in no way us saying that they didn't wrestle as well, you know. It's just like
Yeah.
Trey's absolutely correct, and I agree wholeheartedly. It is the placement in the card for sure. Like that was the primary issue with that match: the placement in the card and the time that it got. And that's both those questions are to the booking, not to the rest. So
Yeah, and also I think also since WrestleMania with Rhea, they've kind of just fed her like she's this big monster Godzilla, and they're just feeding her all the women. They're not building stories, so there's nothing to get behind. You know what I mean? You just know that Rhea's gonna win. She's Godzilla. We want a storyline. We want to see like I think like Trey just said, they could have done so much more with Zoe. They could have built this to like God knows where, but like really well. They didn't. I don't know. Is that lazy? Is that laziness? What is it?
it
I
is
think
lazy booking.
lazy booking, but I also think like the end game is probably Rhea versus Becky at WrestleMania. And right now they going through the motions trying to, get there. I think maybe at Rumble we get Rhea versus Shayna, and then Becky versus Rhea at Mania. But it's like the presentation to me. She's more in the men's division dealing with that stuff, and then she only comes to the women's division like, oh, somebody wants to fight me. That same Karen effort I feel like she has over there in the men's division. They should do it in the women's division. Like they started that up before Crown Jewel and everything. And they trying to build some stories, I guess, now with some of the women. But they going through like other people to build the stories. Like, so I think it's because they planning that Rhea and Becky, they really not focused on telling the stories and fully getting them out with all the other wrestlers because they're so focused on what's to happen at Mania. That's just my opinion.
That makes sense. But it's unfortunate for the other ladies. But that's the business, isn't it?
I feel like one thing that I really like about AEW again and that WWE doesn't really do is that whenever there's a title match, even if it's just extremely evident that the challenger is not going to win, there's still going to be build. There's still going to be, a story at least of some kind. But then another thing that I think neither companies are good about is that when you put a wrestler in a title match, you even if no one is intended for them to win, you should be fully prepared that they could win. Because there's human error, stuff happens, there's injuries, there's things. It's people, it's humans, and sometimes it plays out like we all know that like when Caitlyn had her title reign, it was completely accidental, and it did play out because luckily the crowd was with her, but she was not in any way built to be a champion as a character at that point. But then, like with AEW, when Jon Moxley got injured, and we got Rey Fenix as what's the name of the title? Just forgot. Intercontinental? No.
No, that's WWE.
International. Yeah. It's the international champion. It just like it killed everything. Like it killed everyone's momentum, and they had to clean up the mess. And like as amazing as Rey Fenix is as a wrestler, they just did not. They were not at all prepared to the slim possibility that he will become champion. So I just think the core error of that match was that there was no universe in which Zoe Stark could win.
Yeah.
And that kind of killed the momentum of it from the start. And that I would of course I don't know, like I didn't see it happen, but I would think it killed the momentum in terms of storytelling as well. It's almost like, why would we build the story if everyone knows she's not going to win, So I
Yeah.
think, like, if you're trying to immerse me as a viewer in the realm of believability, you should at least believe your own stuff, So, like,
Yeah.
even if everyone knows she's not going to win, like, invest some time and effort in it anyways. So I think that's the takeaway.
So, you watch a lot of AEW, how do you feel about seeing CM Punk transition to WWE?
I'm surprised. That's my main emotion right now. I'm very surprised. Didn't think it was going to happen. Though, again, if you, like, everyone's smart in hindsight, but, like, in hindsight, if you look at things, if you consider that he rejected the initial AEW offer to go do Fox to be closer to WWE, that he was backstage at WWE when he was already, like, in talks, or I think even signed with AEW. Like, obviously, like, I think it's a bit of a Cody thing, where, like, this whole thing, this whole run was to, like, prove his worth to WWE in a way. But then I also think, like, there's a saying that goes, don't spit in the well that you're going to drink out of. So I think, like, if he was, like, if that door was open, if he wanted to come back, even, like, a little bit in the back of his mind, maybe don't attack every single person who works there and say they're horrible people and they have blood on their hands. Maybe don't say that, if you're going to come back. And Triple H said that at the presser thing that, like, oh, it was 10 years ago, and, like, none of us are the same people as we were 10 years ago. And I'd like to believe it. And people are like, oh, well, yeah, he did say those things, but it was 10 years ago. No, he was saying those things last year. Like, it's not ancient history. Like, he was saying all that last year. But then again, in a business where kayfabe exists, you can just chalk anything to work in. So at this point, he literally could come out and be like, just kidding. So good for him. Good for him. He's gonna make some money. He's gonna feed Larry the dog some good quality dog food. Good for him.
Shout out to my birthday twin CM Punk coming back. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, I want chaos. You know what I'm saying? I believe the thing with Seth at the end was a work shoot.
Oh yeah, with Seth
I don't think
sure
they knew, but you know what I'm saying. But you build it. People in the audience recorded it. I don't know if people remember this. Maybe like 2015 or 16, there was an interview and they said the way that you have to play it to get people to believe more is you let the people capture the footage, and then you can talk on it from there.
Mm.
And the E has the best way of doing that because all the video is the fans putting up, and this is like the most talked about thing online right now. Only thing that would have made it better for me, when he came out, if he would have had that belt on his shoulder. Because if he would have came out with that belt on his shoulder, let me tell you, the world would be burning right now. But I'm just excited as a person who literally watches like every company. Like I want to see what AEW has to say. I want to see what's going forward with WWE. I want to see how Impact feels because they said they had talks with Mr. Punk. I just want to see, how everybody feels about it and where it goes to. Because right now, if you are a wrestling fan, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan and enjoy. Like, if you don't watch something cool, try to get into it and keep up. Like, I watch all wrestling, but the stuff that I don't rock with, I really don't talk about or pay attention to. So, but this right here with CM Punk back, I won't lie, I wasn't the biggest CM Punk fan his first run in the E. I was there AEW when he came back in Chicago. I was there tonight when he came back tonight. I've seen him. I've talked to him before. Like I said, we are B-Day twins. I understand him to a point because when I was way younger, I would blow up like he been doing as of late. Now I just laugh and walk away from people. But man, they gonna have him controlled over there in W. I don't think you see nothing like the media scrum happen in the E because they gonna probably cut your miter or cut the feed. Any issues backstage, I don't know if it like it was in the old days, but they will go into a room and they'll fight it out, and it'll stay with the boys in the locker room. So yeah, if everything stays together and we don't have no issue, I see a great time coming. I would love to see something where CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, and Jay like meeting the back on camera, and they say something. Ever since Tony Khan cut that Nick Khan promo, man, Nick Khan ain't been playing. I need Tony Khan to go off again. I'm waiting for the Twitter rant. I need to see it. I just want chaos, but everything controlled. So that's me. I'm very happy about where we're going right now in wrestling. It's a great time. It's a great time for me.
You know what? I was a huge fan of his during his first WWE run. Like when I again was only watching WWE, like I was a huge fan. He was one of my favorite wrestlers. And I have the original straight edge shirt with the two fists from 2008. And like I was extremely excited when he came to AEW. And it just, didn't play out the way a lot of us had hoped. And I just don't think it's like, again, like a good versus evil story. Like I don't think it's that. I just think that the company culture is extremely different in AEW. And that's just not the way you handle things in AEW. Like I know some wrestlers signed to AEW, and like the consensus is that it is very democratic. Like the boss is very reachable. Everyone is like discussing things, coming up with things, pitching things, like around almost like around the fire after the show, like for real. And it's like CM Punk tried to treat it like a prison where you come in and establish dominance, but that really wasn't the thing to do. And it's just like I think it's really, really wrong to frame him coming back to WWE as an AEW fumbled him. No, AEW tried to keep him for as long as they possibly could. Like he kept coming back, and they tried to make peace with him, and they made a whole separate show for him. Like they really tried. And then when it came to physically threatening your direct boss, that's when like you just can't do that. And he wouldn't do that in WWE. And it's like I just don't see it as AEW fumbling him at all. I just see it as him not fitting in and him pretty much doing everything to get fired on purpose or not on purpose. I hope, like I genuinely hope that he's going to do better in WWE and that he's going to be at peace and that he's going to be happy. But when has ever CM Punk been at peace, truly?
Yo, yeah. I feel she just said like trying everything to get fired and everything. Like I feel, and this is the last thing I'm gonna say. I feel like if you watched the Peacemaker series on HBO Max, they had these things called butterflies. So I said this like last year. I felt like WWE released some people, let them be butterflies out there, but then they also are out there like testing people, like testing waters, like, yo, would you like to come back and everything? Or, hey, you should go over there, get your workout in, but then come back over, to the E and get some big money out here. Cause like the stuff that Punk was doing over there in AEW was like, are we serious right now? Like, it's a lot going on at this point. And like, it was like, it never would stop and people messing with him. So at that point, it was like, he don't even want to be here no more. He just trying to get out the company, what it felt like to me. So, him showing back up over there in the E, I truthfully believe, and if people find a podcast, it's about 4 or 5 butterflies out there that's getting people and actually trying to hype them to go over to the E, but playing with the other companies. And I go in deeper into that, but it's a crazy thing out here. It's my conspiracy theory. But yeah.
That being said, I have a question for you. With Malachi Black's weird promo yesterday, and with the whole CM Punk mention, with the whole Cesaro mention, do you think he's trying to go back to WWE? Do you think that's what he's doing?
I haven't watched Collision as of yet, so I can't speak on his promo. But if you ask me, are there people in AEW who are trying to go back to the E? 100%, I believe it's about 3 or 4 people who, if they could get out their contracts and go back because that certain old man's not over there in charge anymore, and because of how big of a part of NXT they were, I believe they would go back and cook. Like, I'm happy what Adam Cole is doing over there in AEW. But there's no possible way anybody could tell me if Adam Cole wasn't in the E right now, he would be like one of their crown jewels. No,
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended with that. But like, man, like I can only imagine some of these people under Triple H, and his booking and everything, or because just the way that he treated them in NXT and everything. So I'm gonna thanks for saying that, because I'm gonna go watch Collision so I can hear that Malachi promo, because a lot of people online want Malachi Black in the E, and that NXT run he had was great until he went up to that main roster. But man, I want that NXT Malachi Black back. You feel me? But yeah.
Yeah, no, you mentioned the butterflies, and I thought of Drew because he went and came back, and look at him now. You know, when he went to Ring of Honor, and then they got him back. So I think that Malachi, I think Andrade is a I'm gonna use that term now. I've never heard of it, but I'm gonna use it. I think Andrade is a butterfly. I think that Swerve is a butterfly because of what we're seeing now. I know you don't see it, and I know you're
don't know.
So
unless, like, I mean, apart from Carmelo Hayes, right? Let's talk about like men of color. Apart from Montez Ford and Bobby Lashley, the potential of Carmelo Hayes, who else is there? I don't know of any other. Who are they trying to build? There's no one on NXT that really stands out. Do you know what I mean?
NXT Level Up has the guy named Obi Fima.
Okay.
He hasn't really started yet, but he's I believe he's like Nigerian. He's about 6'8".
Wow.
He's scary. I mean, just straight up, he's scary. Like, if he's one of them wrestlers that you see, you be like, "Nice to meet you, sir. I'm going this way, though." Then besides that, you know, like they keep trying with Ricochet. I don't know what they can do with Ricochet except pull that trigger. He's been a star everywhere else, but I don't think he's going nowhere because him and Samantha or the ring announcer, they're doing great. But he's in a good spot. And then, well, Apollo's been at home with his baby. I would low key, even though people will probably go against it, I would low key not even mind R-Truth getting an actual real run. You know?
Yeah, of course. I love him.
Everybody loves R-Truth.
R-Truth is that dude. Like, everybody like him, but you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't mind him getting an actual real run because he was like an NWA champion. And I think it would go because, you know, when he had that little main event program with Cena back in the day, like, people was going with him, but he had to go heel to do that. But yeah, man. Other than that, and then I don't know what they doing with Bobby Lashley because he just went head up with Brock Lesnar, and he's just around, and they putting him in like a Brock Lesnar type role. Like, he hasn't lost in a minute, and I don't know, man. I'm like, I don't know, but he's also 47 years old. He doesn't look 47, but he's 47. So how much longer is he going to be willing to do this? You know? I don't know.
So, lastly, do you think that Sasha Banks will be returning?
Sorry. My dude WWE just signed.
Who?
Jay Malachi.
Jay Malachi.
He was on the independent scene. He's from the North Carolina area. Him and his tag team partner, Jackson Drake, they started wrestling like 14. They was calling them the Wrestling Prodigies tag team. he was in a seminar, and Dax Harwood of FTR singled him out to have a special match. We talked to him last year on the podcast. He graduated last May and literally said, I got some things in the work. He did his little independent stint. He went on AEW Dark and Dark Elevation when they had it. And then he did WWE tryout. He goes up there in January. If you don't know who Jay Malachi is, just look him up. He goes crazy. But that's it.
Okay, talk about that quickly. Haley J. Did you watch Wrestlers?
Who, me?
No, I know you did. Senya.
The Netflix?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Okay, there's a girl there called Haley, and she is, to me, a breakout star of that show. She has the X Factor. I know that she went to the Performance Center. I don't know. I haven't heard anything after that, so I don't know if we're going to see her. Have you heard anything?
I know Jay Malachi is going. I don't know if I should say this. It may be out, but I don't know. Maddie Rinkowski.
Yeah, I saw
here. Fit Finley's son, Brogan Finley.
Yeah, Brogan Finley.
There's another one, but I haven't heard anything about it, so I'm gonna wait till January before I say her name. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun time if they do these people right. That's all I say. Yeah, but that's all that's out there right now from what I know. But Hollywood, Haley J. I don't know. She's been taking more independent dates, so I don't know. Like she just faced Camille at Ladies Night Out 13. Camille won that match. I would like to see Camille in the E or somewhere facing some in the AEW or Impact facing some bigger competitors. That's just me. But yeah, that's all I know.
Okay, so lastly, do you think that because I don't know, I didn't see it, but apparently there was some reference to Sasha Banks returning last night to help Bayley because I don't know, I didn't see, but on Twitter they were saying that Sasha Banks is going to return now because they're going to kick Bayley out of Damage Control, and then it's going to be Sasha Banks and Bayley, something like that. I saw so many people saying that on Twitter. Do you see that happening?
Maybe that's what Trey was mentioning when like everyone was doing the finishers on Bayley and no one helped her. Maybe that was like a sign that they're gonna kick her out. And another thing that I saw on Twitter before the pay-per-view, there was like a backstage segment, not sure what show, but like that's just a small like bit of video where like it was whole Damage Control and they were talking to someone, and then Bayley goes, "Okay guys, let's go," and she like goes out frame and they don't move. And then Dakota says, "Yeah, let's go," and then everyone goes. So people were like, oh, they're like more loyal to Dakota and like she's the actual leader and they're gonna kick Bayley out. So I think like there's probably been like hints at that, which I wouldn't mind.
So what started that was Bayley posted an Instagram story and it had Asuka and Kyrie, and then it had her and Shotzi. I don't even can't say the name anymore. It had her and Mercedes. And she just put that in there. So people start running with that. Backstage segments, she's right. Like they've been playing it up that Dakota's really the default leader and not Bayley. And then after Survivor Series on their digital exclusive on YouTube, they talked to Bayley for maybe like 17 seconds. She's wrapped up with the ice and everything. And she's eating chips and she says, "I'm going to go to medical, maybe get a massage or something to get helped out." And right before she leaves, and she goes, "And maybe you can find my teammates for me." And then walks off.
Interesting. And
I'm like, oh, so they are playing this up because, everybody believes they're going to beat Bayley down. Especially like on Friday, she made the match with them and they all just looked at her like, "Why are you making matches and everything? You can't do that." And then it was like, "Well, you gonna be in that tag match." and you're going to team with Asuka. And then Asuka was like, yeah. So I feel it's coming, but as long as I don't want them to do something where they have the other two horsewomen come and join her and try to help her and everything. Keep them over there. Let this just rock. If they bring Sasha in for it, come on back, Sasha. It's time. I mean, because right now y'all could be cooking, and Triple H love you, and he loved.
I know she has plans of writing a book because I saw a video of her saying, "Oh, I've got a book coming out." So I don't know if that would conflict with her book release because I'm sure she's got a lot of like dirt in there that probably won't work well if she plans to return to the company.
But also, if you're sitting at home and you saw Randy and CM Punk return and got those type of pops,
yeah,
you've been there before. I don't know. Does that kind of make you like, oh shit? Imagine if I went back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would. I'll take her for like. See, that's my like women going to AEW. Like, I like AEW's women's division. I've been trying to get more than one women's match. You know, the pay-per-view gave us 2, but every show they give us like 1 and then or 1 segment. But now Timeless Tony gets her second segment. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, it's a few matches over there I would like to see her have. But then after that, it's like, how long would it take her to have those matches that I want to see her have? Because I don't want her to come in and then they move everybody else out the way, and it's all about Sasha. Like they did with old girl got her a title, and then she lost the title. Then she disappeared for a couple weeks. Now she's the valet or manager for Ruby now. Like, I don't want nothing like that to happen, but it's just a lot of wrestling out here. I just want to see some wrestling. That's it. Give me some.
Also, with the way Sasha's been like behaving and talking about it throughout her time away from WWE, I would not think there would be dirt in the book. Like, I would not think she's the one to like spill the tea on everything. Like, she's been very reserved. She hasn't been doing the same Punk about it. Like, she hasn't been talking shit about WWE, and she's been reacting very negatively when people try to ask her about it, and when people try to assume that she wasn't happy with WWE. Like, she shuts down fans talking about it. So the door is for sure open, and I really wouldn't think there would be something in the book that would stop WWE from signing her again.
Also, on the show last night, did they show Stephanie McMahon?
No.
I saw her in like fan videos, I think.
Listen, Stephanie was in there enjoying the women's war game match. She, like, before the cage even came down, she was over there front row, like, I was like, that's Steph over there. I was like, Stephanie. I was like, oh shit, okay. Like, she was there for the whole match from beginning to end. Congratulated the ladies and everything. So shout out to Big Steph being in the building. You know what I'm saying? Maybe she about to make a comeback. You know, who knows?
That would be cool. That would be very cool. Royal Rumble, please.
Can we get AJ Lee for like one match? I need to see her face somebody.
I have a very unpopular opinion on AJ Lee. Like, everyone wants her to come back, and like thinks she was such a breakthrough for the women's division. And in a way she was, because she was like the first anti-diva in the diva era, I guess. But with the way that like her promos went and the way she spoke about it, I really feel she set the women's division back then and didn't help it, because there was just so much internalized misogyny in every single thing she did. And then she went on to work with freaking Tessa Blanchard in WoW, and it's like, I would like to see her back.
I just want one match, her and Roxanne. That
one match. Don't say anything. Come in, wrestle, leave.
That's how I am with a lot of people. Like, yo, come on in. Take that mic from them.
Deactivate your Twitter. Don't say anything. Right. Come wrestle.
Take that mic. Let the match happen, and then you can go. Because right now, Roxanne and Cora Jade are going back and forth on Twitter, and they talking about AJ Mendez come handle this and talk to her and all that. I just want to see her with that match against Roxanne, since Roxy met her when she was like so young, and that's like her ultimate match. I ain't gonna say nothing about WoW, but yeah, go ahead, Sophia. Next subject.
No, so like with talking about Roxy and Cora, I feel like the excitement sadly has kind of like died out from them both. Initially, I would say maybe like last year, mid last year, it was so exciting. Everyone was so excited for both of them. And then I don't know what happened. I think they tried to put them in the main roster here and there, doing dark matches as well. I don't know. Maybe they're not ready, but like I feel like, you know how you said it's time to call some people up now because a ton of new people are coming in. So like I love Roxy. I think she's really cute, but do
what happened?
Do you see a match like say Rhea Ripley and Roxanne? It's not really realistic, is it? Or Raquel? I don't know. Does Roxanne have a place on the main roster? Okay, this is controversial, but does she have a place on the main roster just because she looks really young? She's got such a baby face. Who would you match her up with for it to be believable and realistic?
Was Rhea versus Lyra Valkyria believable?
I don't know. But to me, Roxy looks about 15.
I mean, I don't think a baby face is a problem. Like, we just watched Billy Starks just rock the absolute shit out of Ronda Rousey. Like,
yeah.
I don't think that's the issue. And as someone who's very much all for intergender wrestling, I don't think the size is the issue either. I think, like, in wrestling specifically, in a predetermined sport, it's all about the aura. And the aura is artificial. It can be built. It can be created. And, when I say artificial, I don't mean like that it doesn't come from talent, that it doesn't come from the person. I mean that like it has zero to do with what you look like or how old you are or where you came from. I'm just saying that like that's the problem, that those people who get called up from NXT are not, compelling enough, or not booked strong enough, or not big enough to take on the main roster superstars. And absolutely that match would not be believable.
And when Roxy came, so this is my belief. Like you said, a year ago she came in and she was there. She was cooking, doing everything. She also came in off of being the Ring of Honor Women's Champion, and dropped another title too. So when she came in, she went straight to the breakout star, and then had the tag team championships, and then went straight for the championship. She did everything to do in NXT in the first 4 months.
Yeah, they brought the Chinese. Was she Chinese, Japanese lady? I can't remember her name. She's got a really long name. Yeah, the NXT.
Wait, that's a different person probably. I'm thinking Xia Li.
That's what I was thinking too.
What's her name? I don't know what happened to her. She was a UK women's champ. She was in WCW. She's been around for a while. She's what is it? She's got a long name.
Meiko Satomura?
Yeah, her. So she had a match with Roxy. They built. Yeah, you're right. In 4 months, she did everything, and then it's like, what next is there? I didn't even think of that, but that's true. What next is there now?
It was like, and she had those main roster matches and everything. Like, came up there, tagged them and everything, but it's also a business. So what I think really happened, they're holding people down there in NXT because they're going to the CW. Like, no one can tell me that Braun Breaker should still be in NXT at this time.
Or Carmelo.
Carmelo, he should be gone too. But you got like those two guys on the men's roster who I believe should be gone, but they still there chilling. On the women's side, Roxy probably should be out of there. Low key to me, Kiana James is a utility player if she was to go up there, because she's been proving her stuff on NXT. I believe she'll cook on the main roster with them women. Xtina K is her name on the indie scene when she was there. But they're holding people back, I think, because they go into the CW in 2024. Oh, shout out to the CW for having WoW NWA and NXT on their program, which is fucking crazy. But I think that's the only reason they holding people. Trying to make it a legit third brand. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's why they keep bringing the main roster too. Like Jinder Mahal, Baron Corbin's doing really well there as well.
And I really believe that NXT should have a mix of some of the people that's been on Raw and SmackDown down there. Like, mix all that up. Like, yo, we call these 4 people up. We got 4 people up here that's not really doing nothing. Let them go down there and cook with the young people. And you can let those people know, like they said when what's her name? Dana Brooke was down there. She was letting people know when you get to like Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, this is what you're gonna have to deal with. And like just prepping people that way, like send some people down there. That way, you know, you got the mix of the older talents telling the younger talents what to expect when they get up there. That's how everything's gonna work, because it has to be a flow that's all together and not like y'all over here, we see y'all, but we're not gonna talk about y'all. Like, so that was real stupid. Like we used to watch Monday Night Raw, and you know NXT is coming on when they was on Wednesday nights and everything. And they would act like they didn't even exist.
And someone appears from NXT, and they're like, "Who is that?" And then they like say their new name. They're like, "It's Butch. Butch is coming." And we were literally watching like NXT like 2 days before then.
Pete Dunne, we gonna get you out of there.
Yeah, definitely, man. We need Pete Dunne. We do.
Pete Dunne, we gonna get you out of there. That's one of my biggest.
Pete Dunne, blink twice if you're held
back.
Definitely. One match for Gunther I would love to see, because they had great chemistry on NXT UK, is Pete Dunne and Gunther.
Who you think gonna dethrone Gunther of the championship, of the IC title?
I have no idea. I don't know. Maybe Chad Gable, he deserves it. What do you think?
I saw that after Raw shows, sometimes they be running Gunther versus Jey Uso.
Really?
That's interesting.
Yeah. Like when they was in Columbus, I believe it was a Raw. It was Gunther versus Jey Uso, and I was like, this could be a way. I don't know. It could be some fun to happen. But I really would like to see Chad Gable. Only because I feel like Chad Gable at this point, he deserves something. Especially after his loss.
You guys mentioned Jinder Mahal, and I'm the rare fan.
Wow.
He was one of my favorite
Don't hinder Jinder.
And don't hinder Jinder. And I'm still waiting for the 3-man band prophecy to be fulfilled. Because Drew McIntyre left, got jacked, came back, became WWE champion. Jinder Mahal left, got jacked, came back, became WWE champion. It's time, baby. Where is he? Come out. He's a free agent.
Not Heath. I've been thinking that, but also Heath is in Impact Wrestling. If you haven't seen him, he's getting jacked.
He's a free agent.
He's getting jacked, right? He was a little jacked in TNA, and I was like, it might happen. But oh man, if that does happen, Lord.
The third horseman of the apocalypse is gone.
Could you imagine the internet if Heath Slater
came back? Yes.
Oh my good. I will chaos. Let's go. I'm with it. Matter of fact, bring Heath back and have him beat Roman.
Wow.
The way I would literally start watching WWE again and quit everything else if that happened.
Wow.
I would just repent and come back to WWE.
It would be so much commotion if that happened. But I want to see it. Heath, you see this? Come on back.
I love Heath so much. And it's weird because I've met and interviewed a lot of wrestlers. I've interviewed almost 70 wrestlers at this point, I think. And some of them were, local indies, some of them were A-listers. So I barely ever get nervous meeting wrestlers anymore. But I met Heath after being a fan for 10 years for the first time at LA Comic-Con a couple years ago. at which I was actually in a panel. So like I wasn't even attending as a fan, like, but I had to meet Heath Slater, and I did, and I was freaking out. Like the way I forgot everything I wanted to say or ask. Like I was just fangirling unapologetically. He's amazing. He's great. He was super nice. So yeah, Heath Slater for WWE champion.
I want to ask you something because I know you love Dolph, and Dolph recently got released. Do you see him going to AEW? Because his contract's apparently, like, he can't leave till December or something. I don't know. I've heard some stuff.
There's no compete like for
so
most people, I think.
When
I would love that
with him.
Like I just want to see more of him, you know? Like I don't know where he stands with wrestling. Like I know that he's really happy doing stand up. I know that he's really happy doing his political analytical stuff. And he's been like, from what I gather, right? Because we're not like friends. Like I know him, but we're not like friends or anything. He's he's great. He's delightful to work with, and he's extremely helpful, and he's helped me a lot. But from what I gather, he didn't seem to be very enthusiastic about wrestling lately. So I don't think he's the kind of person who has the itch to go wrestle. So I don't know if he's gonna do it or if he's gonna maybe take a break for a while. But would I like to see him in AEW? Yes, absolutely. Like that's the promotion that I watch the most, and he's one of my absolute all-time favorite wrestlers. So yeah, I would just personally, just selfishly, I would absolutely love it because I want to see him wrestle live. I want to be able to see him more, and that would be just absolutely amazing. And there's so many dream matches in there. Like I would love for him to wrestle Kenny. I would love for him to maybe wrestle Riot again. Like there's the whole thing with that going on too. I would love for him to wrestle like maybe Matt Sydal again. Like it's, as a fan, I would absolutely love to see that.
I think I don't know. I don't think that he would. I think he's kind of like going to hang up his boots. I kind of feel like that. I don't know. A lot of people, when Tony Khan tweeted somebody who is loved by everyone, I didn't think Will, because I think that Will, although he's known, he's not as well known as Dolph Ziggler, and everyone loves Dolph Ziggler. Like, no, I mean, even if you're not his fan, you can't really say anything bad about him. Do you know what I mean? So I was convinced it was going to be him, but then I don't know. Let's see.
And I also feel like Will is not like as universally loved either.
Yeah.
Like I don't think like Will is the kind of person where everyone is like, what a great guy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a fan. Like I think he's an amazing wrestler, but he gets a lot of criticism for everything, and for his in-ring style, and for the flippy stuff, and for his like personal stuff. And he's not the kind of person you think when it's like highly regarded and loved by most fans.
Yeah, that really confused me because I was like, I don't know, not too many wrestlers who are loved by every AEW fan. I'm like, who can he pull this trigger on? That's what. And then it was like, Will. I was like, I don't even know if every AEW fan loved him. You know what I'm saying? So, Dolph in AEW. So my thing is I'm not too much of a company guy as much as I just want to see like some matches happen. And I could see him going over there. And off the top of my head, I could probably name like 7 matches that I want to see him have. But like she said, he's also doing his comedy thing. And when you talk to him about that, he seems just so happy doing his comedy thing. I wouldn't deny it. Now, hear me out. Him in Impact Wrestling.
Don't hurt me like that.
They only work on weekends. You feel me? On Saturdays and Sundays, sometimes Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Him and Trinity, they seem to still have a good connection over there. I see him as somebody who could probably go in and be a champion there, but a little indie run ain't never hurt nobody. But yeah, as far as him doing comedy, and he's doing good comedy. I know I'm gonna probably see him this weekend at GalaxyCon. If I get back in time enough to go on Sunday. But yeah, man, AEW roster over there is kind of big. WWE
kind of an understatement.
WWE roster is big. You think AEW's roster is too big?
I think the men's is.
I mean, yeah.
The women's, I think they
also like they have 3 weekly shows.
They do, but
Honor.
Do they put? So I don't watch it, so I can't say. Like I don't watch it, but they've kind of segregated everyone. Like SmackDown, you've got your SmackDown stars, you've got your AEW's. Your Raw stars. What I'm really happy about on AEW though is we're getting to see more of Jay Briscoe, the Briscoe, Mark Briscoe. I always get confused. And it's kind of unfortunate that he gets to be on TV while his brother's not alive, which is quite sad. But he's getting the accolades now, and even when his brother passed away, it's like even WWE, like everyone, like was kind of mourning for his loss, and I'm so glad that was. I'm not I think that was the apart from the one in England, the last pay-per-view that I actually watched of AEW. Can we put Ring of Honor as AEW? I actually watched that last pay-per-view with both of them in it, and then just like a week later he passed away. It was just so weird.
That was my guy, man. I believe he's in that in the tournament.
He's in the tournament, yeah.
We're gonna see a lot of him these next few weeks and everything. And I always love the promos that him and his brother cut. When I talked to Brian Danielson, he gave me a little insight about some music that him and Jay Briscoe used to listen to, which was actually a fun interview. But yeah, man, I the more Mark Briscoe we can get, I'm cool with it. He's somebody I'm okay with having a mic because you don't know what the hell he gonna say, and I love it every time. So shout out to them doing their thing, man. Also, this last thing I'm gonna say on this podcast right here, I need Chicago to get checked out because I was at All Out and I was at this Survivor Series. Chicago has now done 2 chants that I totally have issue with. At All Out, they was doing the meat chant. And last night they was doing yeet. So Chicago chanting meat and yeet is kind of getting to me at this point. So Chicagoans, when I see y'all in like 3 weeks, we're going to have to talk about this because I don't know what's going on with y'all. Meat and yeet. If you know, you know. So, pause me up if y'all got to pause me up. But hey, that's it. Get me out of here.
Yeah. So overall, I really enjoyed Survivor Series, and I'm sure both of you did. And is there any last words?
Before we go, you guys, since this is on the We Love Wrestling platform, can you just let people know where to follow you and everything? They watching this, but they should know who they actually paying attention to and talking to.
Do you want to go first?
Who? So whoever.
No. Should I go first? Do you want to go first? Okay, I'll go first. So, hey everybody, my name is Sophia. You can find me on Instagram, on Twitch, on Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, now X.
Tell people where they can find you and see more of your.
We call it Twitter.
Vocal man, Sophia. We love wrestling. I love wrestling. You love wrestling. We all love wrestling.
I think we're having a delay. Oh, it's me. Hello. Yeah, I am Xenia. That's my name. You spell it Xenia, and this nickname that you see is where you find me on most social media. I do interviews with wrestlers and with fans, and I also do show coverage. I do analytics. I do vlogs and all kinds of things that have to do with wrestling. Oh, that's only when.
Uh,
That's a big delay.
We LUV Wrestling on all social media platforms. We LUV Wrestling 1 on Twitter. YouTube is back kicking. You know what I'm saying? They had stopped us for a minute, but we off band, baby. You know what I'm saying? Since we got off band the last 28 days, we got about 3,000 subscribers. The video's back up. The monetization is back. Check out everybody. Check out our podcast this past Wednesday with Ruthie J from NWA. We hadn't talked to her in like a year and a half, and now she's doing the thing down there. So enjoy all of it. More coming this weekend, this week, because Ladies Night Out 13 just happened on Sunday, which is today. And yeah, all right. Woo! Sophia?
Yeah, so we love wrestling. So do you love wrestling?
Huh?
Do you love wrestling? I love wrestling. We all love wrestling.
I love wrestling. Everyone loves wrestling. Everyone should love wrestling.
Absolutely.
I kind of love wrestling. That's why it's LUV, but that's neither here or there. Yeah. Is that the outro, Sophia?
Yeah, we all love wrestling.
Hey.